Hello, good day everyone. So I am Miss Nicole and Dong Agan, BS Ed Math 2. So for today's video, we are gonna talk about the angle of elevation and depression. Okay, we are tasked to discuss their functions. Okay. So in this lesson, we have objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students should be able to, okay, first, define concept on angle of elevation and angle of depression. We are going to define and we are tasked to to differentiate the elevation and the depression. Okay. And the second one, cite important application of angle of elevation and angle of depression in real life situation. Okay? Okay. So, look at the screen. Angle of elevation and depression. First, we have the angle of elevation. Is the angle between a horizontal line from the observer and line of sight to an object that is above the horizontal line. So, above the horizontal line. Okay, when you look at the picture, there is a person there and a tree. Okay, the example of angle elevation, example, you are looking up. Okay, tumitingin ikaw sa taas. 'Di ba? So, that is the example of angle of elevation when you are looking upward. On the other hand, ito naman, the angle of depression is the angle between a horizontal line from the observer and the line of the sight to an object that is below the horizontal line. Below na naman sa horizontal line. Look at the picture there. There is a person in the rooftop. Okay, yung paningin niya is downward, pa bottom. Okay, that is the example of depression. Pag yung paningin natin is pababa. Okay. No, it is very clear the differences between the two, their concept. Yung angle of elevation is yung tumitingin ka sa taas, while yung depression, pababa. Okay, so next slide. Okay, here, imagine yourself, you are at the ground, okay, or then standing at the ground, and then you look upward because you saw an airplane. So that is the example of elevation because you are looking upward. 'Di ba nasa taas yung airplane? So that is the example of angle of elevation kasi yung sight mo is pataas. However, when you saw a dog approaching to you, so tumingin ka naman sa baba. So that is the example of depression. Okay? Look at the screen. Yung object 1 mo is example of angle of elevation. So, ang object 2 naman is angle of depression. Okay? It is very basic. I hope you learned the difference of elevation and angle of elevation and depression. Okay, so now we are going to discuss the trigonometric identities. I hope, I assume that you guys familiar na sa SOHCAHTOA. Okay, you'll see that. Okay. SOHCAHTOA stand for sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Ka for cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. However, yung TOA naman, tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Okay. Look at the hypothesis, yung pa-slide. And then, yung sa baba naman is the adjacent. And then, pataas or the height is the opposite. Okay? Alright. So, this will be, ito yung gagamitin natin to solve the elevation and the depression. The SOHCAHTOA. Okay. So, let's have angle of elevation. Problem. Solve natin ito. Okay. Number 1. At the circus, a person in the audience at ground level watches the high wire routine. A 5 foot 6 inches tall acrobat is standing on a platform that is 25 feet off the ground. How far is the audience member from the base of the platform if the angle of elevation from the audience members' line of sight to the top of the acrobat is 27 degrees? So, ilan kaya? Ano kaya yung distance? Okay, when you look at it, yung height ng tao is 5.5 feet. Tapos yung kung saan siya nakatayo from the ground, yung height is 25 feet. So all in all, pag i-add natin yan is we have 30.5 feet. So yung gagamitin natin na identity will be the TOA because given man yung given yung degree, yung theta, and then yung opposite, the height, and then yung hinahanap is the distance or the adjacent. So yung natin, yung identities natin is tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Okay, yan yung gagamitin natin. However, if given naman yung hypotenuse, tapos hahanapin natin yung, if given yung hypotenuse, tapos hahanapin natin yung adjacent, so yung gagamitin natin is the cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. However, dito na problem is given yung opposite. So, hahanapin natin yung adjacent. So, let's use the TOA. So, we have tangent 27 degree. We have 27 is equal to 30.5 kasi inad natin yung height ng tao tsaka yung kung ano yung total yung feet nung saan siya nakatayo from the ground. So, we have 30.5 over distance or the adjacent. Okay, so now we are going to multiply both side para ma-cancel yung distance dito para ma-transfer sa kabila. So we are going to multiply both side, distance times tangent 27 degree is equal to 30.5 over distance times distance. So, cancel natin distance dito sa kabila. Yung matitira is distance multiplied to tangent 27 is equal to 30.5. Now, kailangan maiwan yung yung distance dito sa kabila kasi yun yung hahanapin natin eh. So, all we have to do is to divide both side tangent 27 degree. So, we are going to divide. That means, nag-cancel out na naman tayo. So, yung maiiwan na lang is the distance or the adjacent. So, distance is equal to 30.5 over tangent 27 degree. So, now, gagamit tayo ng scientific calculator para maging madali. So, kukunin natin yung tangent. Okay, let's have tangent 27 degree. So, we have 0.509525 449. yan yung equivalent ng tangent 27 degrees. So, yung gagawin natin, 30.5 divide 0.50, 95, 25, 449. So, yung magiging resulta is 59.8 degree. So, that means yung distance pala ng problem natin is approximately 59.8 degree. Are we clear? Okay, so ito pala ang distance ng mga tao sa nag-a-acrobat. Okay? So, paano naman if given yung opposite, hinahanap yung hypotenuse? Paano naman pag ganun yung situation? So, gagamitin natin yung sin theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Yan yung gagamitin natin to identify the opposite. Okay? So, or the hypotenuse. Okay. So, let's move on to angle of depression. Okay, here is the problem. The top of a signal tower 120 meters above the sea level. Okay, look at the picture. The angle of depression from the top of the tower to a passing ship is 25 degree. So, how many meters from the foot of the tower is the ship? So, ilan kayang meters? So, look at that. Given yung opposite, tsaka yung given yung opposite, tsaka yung theta, andito din. And then, hahanapin naman natin yung adjacent. Yung adjacent naman, the distance. Okay, again, ito na naman sa depression, ito na naman yung gagamitin natin. So, the TOA again. The TOA again yung gagamitin natin. So, tangent 25 degree is equal to 120. The opposite, the value of the opposite is 120 meters over distance or the adjacent. So, again, i-multiply natin both side and then canceled out. So, yung matitira na lang is distance multiplied to tangent 25 is equal to 120. Pagkatapos, para naman ma-cancel out yung tan 25, para maiwan lang yung distance, we are going to divide both side by tangent 25 naman. So, naiwan na lang yung distance is equal to 120 over tangent 25. Again, we are going to use the scientific calculator to get the answer. So, 120 divide natin siya sa tangent 25. So, we have the distance of the meters of the tower from the ship is 257.3 meters. Okay, are we clear? Pagkatapos naman, only if yung hahanapin naman natin yung yung theta, tapos given yung adjacent, given yung hypotenuse, so we are going to use the inverse. Okay, we are going to use the inverse. You have to use your scientific calculator para madali lang natin yung sasagutin. Okay, how about naman, given yung adjacent and then hahanapin yung hypotenuse. So, we will gonna use the trigonometric identities of Ka. The cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So, on naman sa pag hahanapin natin yung opposite, tapos given yung hypotenuse, so sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. yan naman yung gagamitin natin. So, I hope we are clear kasi madali lang naman ito. It is very easy. Now, you have to take note. Take note of this. If you know the angle of depression or elevation, pag alam mo yung angle nila, you can calculate distances, either height or length using tangent. Yun na yung mga ginagamit ko. So, the tan theta over height over length, pag alam mo. However, pag iba naman, pag yung hinahanap naman is the hypotenuse and then given yung adjacent, then cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse yung gagamitin natin. So on with the sine. Theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Okay. If you know the height, pag alam na natin yung height, given na yung height and the length of the two legs of the right triangle, you can calculate the angle of depression or elevation using the inverse. The inverse of tangent, arctangent. So, yun na yung tan to the power of negative 1 theta is equal to arc tan theta. Okay? So, anyway, nandyan yan sa, sa scientific calculator. You can use it. You have to, i-shift mode mo yung calculator mo and then lalabas na yung tan, yung inverse ng tangent. Okay? So, I hope we are very clear yung the concept of the angle of elevation and depression. When you are looking upward, that is the elevation. On the other hand, when you are looking downward, that is the depression. And in solving these two angle of elevation and depression, you have to use the formula of trigonometric identities, which is the SOHCAHTOA. Sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And then the TOA naman, tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Okay, it is very clear and very basic. So, I hope you understand our lesson for today. Thank you for listening and God bless us all. Thank you so much.